Hello, guys. Kevin the Comic Doctor coming to you with another edition of One on One. I hate the software. I always have a little glitch at the beginning. Always. It doesn't, maybe I got to use it more often. Hey, doing, guys? I'm Kevin the Comic Doctor. I'm a comic book presser. I'm also an authorized CGC dealer located way up in Oshawa, Ontario, Canada. And like I said, another edition of One on One. Guys, I haven't done one of these shows in a while because, to be quite honest, I've been very, very busy. It's just time constraints. You know, I was doing Thursday night shows, interviewing people, bringing different people on here to talk to you. Unfortunately, like I said, it just got really busy. I'm going to try to bring that back. And today we are doing just that. But before we do that, my friends, I want to talk to you about Fan Expo. It's happening next week. I'll be there in Toronto from Thursday until Sunday in booth 1200. I'll be there taking submissions for pressing and, of course, grading. I'll also be helping you out with signature series submissions if you need that service as well. But I do encourage you to go over to my website and read the instructions that go along with that, because there are a few things you want to consider before coming by and seeing me. All right, guys. Well, again, today I brought on Sticky Goose. Sticky Goose is here. He's waiting in the wings. Let me find where my green room is. Sticky Goose, are you there? Are you there? Hey,
waiting in the wings. That's like a pun.
Is it? Yeah, I guess it is. Yeah. Sticky. Okay. What the heck? Sticky Goose. Where's the name? What's the origin of the name itself? Because I know there's a story behind it.
Well, first off, thank you for having me on. Dude, you got a great stream.
Oh, thanks.
And awesome quality. I wish I had this kind of quality. But yeah, the Sticky Goose name came from elementary school. I had this like typing game. It was called Sticky Bear Challenge, and you had to type fast enough to keep the bear from getting all sticky in the honey.
Okay.
And I made a gamer tag called Sticky Bear, and then I couldn't get the password anymore, so I had to think of other sticky animals, and I was like Sticky Beaver, Sticky Swan, Silly Goose, Sticky Goose.
And there you go.
Sticky Goose was born.
So it's a childhood thing that kind of followed you all the way to adulthood.
Correct.
In a way. That's cool. Oh, well, again, welcome. Thanks for agreeing to come on here. I want to get you on here because you've been making quite the name of yourself all over YouTube in terms of in the comic book world of YouTube. But you know what? And I used that on my thumbnail. I said the most notorious comic book, content creator on YouTube. But before we get into all that, I said I want to talk to this guy and get to know him as a person. I want to know where his comic love of comics began, how long he's been collecting for, what's his real story. He can't be all that bad, can he? Really? And we're going to find out today. So I guess, and your first name's Daniel. That's all we're going to say. So, Daniel, when did you actually start collecting comics? Was it a childhood thing? Did you come into it later?
Came into it later, 2019-ish. My dad was a collector back in the late 60s. He had an incredible Silver Age collection, mostly DC war books. And we kind of bonded over that, finding his collection, going through it. I started looking at this stuff, and I was like, holy crap, I'm looking at pieces of Americana history. And these were characters that I've always loved through the years. I mean, I watched all the movies. I knew all the stories. I loved the animated series. And then I started reading comics, and I was like, holy crap, this is better than the movies. This is better than anything. And then I got into the whole collecting game of it, of getting rare books, finding, these older books, and just kind of playing that game, the hunt in the hall. And then everything kind of got tied together with YouTube, with the pandemic, and it just morphed into this where I'm at now. And I honestly can't imagine my life without comic books now, because it's just such a huge part of my life now.
Wow. So you came into it really, really late then, like you said. So,
well, I didn't have any money. Like,
right.
I didn't start getting any money until 2017, 2018. I went to school for a very long time, and I wasn't getting paid. So I wanted nerd stuff, of course, but I couldn't afford things. And then when I was a kid, my parents didn't take me to the comic book store. I'm a kid of the 90s. I wanted to play Super Nintendo.
Right.
That wasn't what I did. And I'm in a weird age group. The 30 somethings are not really the comic book people. The comic book people are 40 to 50 to 60. Those are the people watching my videos. And I realize that I'm more of a minority in that regard.
Interesting. And now, on a side note, you're a Super Nintendo kid. Are you also collecting that stuff?
Yeah, but it's not as serious as this stuff. I mean, the Super Nintendo, I have a little decent collection, but it is so funny collecting that stuff because it is so nostalgia driven, as opposed to this where I have no nostalgia for it. So I really
Wow.
have like fresh eyes, because a lot of people buy things purely nostalgic, and I buy things that are interesting, different, expensive, rare, valuable, stories that I've just come across. I'm just different in that regard.
That's cool because for me it was I started late too. I started, my origin story is like always into superheroes, but not into comic books till high school.
Right.
So that's where I really jumped into it. But now it's really nostalgia, like you said. For me, it is nostalgia. Um, Obsession now, like we all have the collector's bug. You have the sickness, I have the sickness, as it were, the addiction, the collector's the addiction. But you inherited that a little later, and now it's full blown, like you said. I've seen your videos where you laid out all your comics on the. So you were busy over COVID.
Yeah, yeah. COVID. When I first started this, I mean, I had no on-screen personality. What you're seeing now has developed. I've become something else. When I first started this, I was confused. I had no voice. Like, I didn't know what to do, and I quickly realized that if you're yourself, people will be naturally drawn to you. And that I quit being something that I thought people wanted,
Mm-hmm.
and things started changing for the positive.
When did you get into YouTube? When did you start YouTube?
2020.
So not too long ago, probably around the same time as me.
I mean, there was a huge
Yeah.
influx of all of us. Before 2020, the people that were in this, I mean, they are the people
Yeah.
with 50,000,
Yeah.
100,000,
Gem Mint,
200,000
Comic Tom, all
subscribers.
those guys, right? They're
Yeah,
nerdy
comic
girl. Yeah.
tropes.
Yeah.
Those people were in this before all us schmucks got into it. And we're picking at the bones, picking at the scraps of the audiences that were created.
I think you're right. Yeah. If you got in, guys, it was a really, COVID was a really weird time. Everybody was stuck at home looking for entertainment other than what we were seeing on TV. And there wasn't a lot of TV new stuff being produced either because COVID stopped production from happening. So YouTube was right for the picking. And these guys who got it at the right time really were elevated to notoriety and celebrity in many ways. I think we mentioned Gem Mint. I don't watch him a lot, but I mean, I have seen his videos from time to time. And just recently I saw a video where he's coming down from that high now because things are kind of settling.
Yeah, I mean, I think he realized that authenticity, being genuine, and not playing this game of the influencer is really what people want. People see through bullshit.
Yeah.
People see through a facade, and they see it instantly.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't care how smart you are, how intelligent, how educated, people know when they're getting a spin.
Yeah.
And it's like when you're watching the news or you're watching a political figure or whatever the case may be. People know when they're getting lied to, and they're tired of the bullshit.
Yeah, that's true. I agree. And there was that whole scandal. Was it last year at San Diego where they were pushing the con exclusives? They went and bought them all, and they
That was
cranked.
C2E2.
Yeah. Oh, C2E2. That's right. That was kind of the tipping point, I think.
Yeah, C2E2, everything changed after that. And
Yes.
really, drama content on comic book YouTube was really born. There was some before that, but people realized that's the shit people wanted to watch. Like, they were tired of watching middle-aged men unbox comic books. Like, they wanted to see, like, hey, oh, did you see who was at the front of the line buying this retailer variant? And I'm like, here we go.
Yeah. Interesting. All right. And so, okay, so now you're in this. You like collecting, and what's your favorite thing to collect? What books are you really hunting down? What's your soft spot? What can you not resist? Because you're still a comic book lover, obviously.
Yeah, I love comic books. I've really slowed down on the single issues, the floppies. I'm more of a hardcover trade paperback guy,
Okay.
because this is more affordable. I get more enjoyment out of it. I get to read the stories that I love. There's different areas of this hobby, and there's readers, there's collectors, there's speculators, there's investors, and I was doing everything, and that gets really expensive really quickly. But I quickly realized, well, not so quickly, I eventually realized that I like the stories, and the single issues, I mean, they're cool. I mean, they're a piece of history. You know, a first appearance. I've got first appearances of Zatanna. I've got first appearance of whatever on my wall. First Phoenix, and I'm like, that's cool as shit. But once you get it, it's like, okay, what's next? And it's just less fulfilling than, like, for example, reading this, and I'm like, oh my god, this story is incredible. I'm still thinking about it. I have it in its entirety. I didn't break the bank trying to get the thing. That's where I'm at right now.
That excitement you're talking about there is something I have not felt in a very, very long time. Like, seriously, I don't read the books anymore. Straight up.
Well, the books now, it's very, and I've talked about this, and I've heard a lot of feelings about this, is the new comic book day stuff is just, it's a gamble. And so many of them are not worth reading. They're not worth picking up because they don't, the stories are not there. Now, a lot of the indie stuff, a lot of the Image, Boom, a lot of those stories are worth your time. But these, you know, the superhero stuff, oh man, it's they're pushing agendas. It's not just a story. It's like they're doing something extra.
Well, so the same thing's happening in Hollywood too. We see that all the time. Like
Right.
you mentioned the stories, exactly. That's why I personally, I don't want to go off on a whole tangent on, you know, what Hollywood's producing or whatever. But that's why I get very angry when I go and see these movies and they change these stories around. I know they have to change. It's a movie. It's not a comic book. You got to make changes from time to time. But when they're agenda driven, like you say, it is so obvious. And it just, even my kids, my 13-year-old kid picks up, looks over at me, goes like, shakes his head, like, come on.
That's crazy that
right?
he
Oh
even
yeah.
that.
Even my daughter, they are totally, will watch anything on TV now and they'll look over and go, what the hell? I go, are you, at least you're noticing it. At least you're not just a, like 1984, just taking it in and accepting it without questioning it. You have to question what they're putting out there. And you're right. The comic books are hurting because they are pushing agenda. But again, I hear that. I don't read them, but you're not the first person I've heard that from. And it's sad. It's a sad state. Now you say you like some of the more independent stuff. So can you maybe give us a couple of what would you recommend for people out there who want to try something fresh and new? It's not agenda, heavy.
Well, I mean, this isn't new, but this is an example of an Image book. This is East of West by Jonathan Hickman. It's this is 10 trade paperbacks. It's just a cool world building kind of Western saga. Only Jonathan Hickman could make a freaking timeline for everything. I mean, it seemingly, but I know this is very blasphemous, but I actually brought some manga too.
That's okay.
This is Blade of the Immortal. Superhero fans would like this. It's very, got superhero tropes, but dude, manga is eating comic books lunch as far as a lot of new stuff, and specifically like kids like your son, 13-year-old kids. Dude, if I'm him, I'm buying manga and not getting comic books. But
and let's talk about that, because CGC, and we'll talk about CGC as well. I know you have an aversion to CGC, and we'll talk a bit about that. But CGC's now announced I don't know if they actually started grading the manga, but they are gearing up for it. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, CGC, I have made really a 180 because, man, I was all in. I really was.
Well, what turned you off of grading? What kind of said, okay, enough's enough. I'm done with this grading nonsense.
Honestly, it was it was the hollowness. It was like, how many times am I going to spend $500, $800, $1,000, $2,000 to get this slab in the mail? And then I'm looking at it, and I look at the back, and I look at it, and I'm like, well, shit, there it is. And it's like, I mean, is this really what I want? And I thought that comic book collecting was that. And it's not. It is very much not that. And then just the scandals with CGC and stuff. Now, I would trust CGC over one of these dealers any day of the week. When you go to these Comic Cons, dude, I don't trust these dudes for a second. I would trust CGC with telling me, hey, this book is not trimmed. Hey, this book doesn't have a Frankenstein staple or something.
Yep.
You know, like I would trust them. So I think CGC is a necessary evil because there has to be another third party set of eyes on something. So I don't hate them, but I just don't think every single thing needs to be in a slab. I see some of your unboxings of CGC stuff. I'm like, what the, why are they slabbing that? And I mean, I realize you kind of have an art to what you're doing. Like, you're cleaning, pressing. That's something that you take pride in. You could, you're doing the best you can. That's a whole nother part of the comic book community. And I appreciate that. But it's just the actual getting of the CGC slab. And I've got a wall of them over here. And I'm just like, damn, I really wish I could like look in that book.
The only reason I do those unboxings is because people want them graded. I don't push that on anybody. In fact, a couple of times as a business, as a presser, I try to steer away from grading. Like I said, okay, no, I'm done with it. And I stopped, but then everybody was asking for it. So it's like, what do you do as a business? Am I going to say, no, if I don't do it, they're going to go somewhere else. So I have to, do it.
And like I said, I'm going to reiterate, grading and CGC is not inherently bad. The problem is there's just too much shit getting graded. Like if you have a AF-15 and you're getting that thing graded, I'd be getting it graded too. Yeah. Because I want to know if what I have is legit. I want to know it's protected, it's encapsulated, it's safe. I mean, it's too much money. We're talking about too rare and valuable of a thing to not have that security.
I know. Where is he? Is he on here still? He was on here earlier, and he gets very heated and very bad hombre. I'm not sure if he's still on there, and he's one of my clients. And he says the exact same thing. Like half the books, why are they being graded? And I try to explain. I go, sometimes people aren't in it to sell them. First of all, they just want to have their collection, even their child, even if it's not worth, even if it's going to cost more than the book is worth, they just want it protected. So it's there, they can put it on the wall and it's done. So who am I to say no to somebody? I mean, if someone says to me, Kevin, I have a box of 20 books here. I don't want to do if it's not worth it. I'll sit down with them and I'll go over this. Like, these are ones you probably might want to just leave raw. And these are ones you probably want to get done just because the value is certainly there, or it's starting to look like it's heading north. So happy to do that. But some people, they just want them all done and they just want to see. That's why so many people hate the green ones, or the purple ones, because they have that OCD. They want to see them all blue,
right?
And so it is what it is.
Yeah, that nostalgia power, which I think we've kind of already touched on a couple of times. It's like that nostalgia will take over common sense of like, hey, I'm spending $25 to grade a book that's worth 50 cents. Like that nostalgia is, I mean, it makes you do stupid financial decisions, and it's risky business.
It is,
and you really kind of need to. I would, the people watching this, I mean, you really need to kind of take a step back and like evaluate some of the decisions you're making as far as you're collecting. I kind of made a video here recently about my top 5 biggest mistakes I've made in my comic book collecting career. And so many of the things that I talk about, it's just like, why are you doing what you're doing? And I will be the first one to tell you, I have been influenced. I thought this is what I needed to do or what I needed to collect, or you need to take a step back and say, why am I doing this? And but a lot of people can't do that.
It's hard, and like you said, they're seeing other people do it. They're seeing these unboxings that I do and other people do, and they get excited. And there's a whole whirlwind of, how much these books worth, and people think they're worth more if they're graded. That's not necessarily the case, as you've pointed out in some of your videos too. You get them done, and it's like the book's worth less now than it, anyway. So it's not really worth it. So yeah, I get that. But I think you are right. CGC unfortunately isn't as all these grading companies, whether you're grading, baseball cards, VHS tapes, whatever.
Yeah.
You need someone to tell you that, you know, they're true. They've not been forged. And so they are definitely a necessary evil. Now, how about your discovery of YouTube? And let's talk about that journey a little bit. So you got onto YouTube. What prompted you to make that first video? Did you watch somebody? Say, yeah, I'm going to try that. What kind of got you into the whole YouTube space?
My first video was me unboxing my third scale Batman The Dark Knight Returns Frank Miller inspired statue. I was like, dude, I just spent $1,500 on a freaking piece of polystone. I was like, somebody's got to care about this. I always wanted a room, a collecting room, like a room of things. And I very much have that now. And I'm an only child, obviously, to the people that watch my videos. And I take pride in my possessions. I take pride in the things I have. And I want to share those things with other people. Like when people come over, I kind of want to show them this room and see their expressions, because this is a side of me that I don't necessarily just show in my day to day, and this is a part of who I am. And then YouTube just kind of became a extension of that. I am theatrical in a lot of ways. I like to be dramatic. I like to be the center of attention sometimes. And this has really given me an outlet for that. And then it also just, the connection with people, like to make a video and then see people like it and comment and say, hey, I like that too. Or it's like, oh shit, this is addicting. And then it was just, that's what happened. And then really, I changed as a person. You watch some of my earlier videos, I'm like, I don't even know who the hell that guy was. And then I start, and just like sitting here talking to this camera, this is genuinely me. I am unapologetically me. And there is no better feeling in the world to have discovered who you really are and be completely comfortable with that.
Well, when I watched your videos, I don't know what you do for a living. And I thought, all right, this guy's got some background in theater acting. He was in the drama club at high school for sure. Maybe he's got no hair. Maybe he played Daddy Warbucks in a production of Annie. I don't know. Something's going on here. Am I right? Were you involved in theater?
I was in middle school, but I suppressed. See, that's one of the biggest things is I suppressed all of my collecting and all my nerddom in high school because I wanted to be cool. And it was one of the biggest mistakes in my life, because I'm like, this is what I like. This is who I am. And to suppress that to please other people, fuck that. Like, I'm not here to please anybody. You either like me or you don't. And that's why there's been so many people that clicks the freaking subscribe button on my channel, because they see I am unapologetically me, and you either like me or you hate me.
Yeah, that's okay. Nothing wrong with that. That's a good motto, I think. Yeah, you got a great sense of humor. And I think that got you in trouble about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, or something like that. And maybe we can talk a bit about that, briefly. I don't want to harp on that, but that's kind of what brought me right back to you again, because I reached out to you about back in May or June, I think. I wanted to, yeah, and then because there was just some CGC scandal crap going on or whatever, and then that kind of
they posted that video on Instagram of them showing like the internal room.
That's right. Which I saw too. I saw it on your channel, and I said, "Oh my God, that looks just awful. It just looks terrible."
I can't believe they posted that.
It's still on there, eh? It's under the
no. They deleted it.
I don't know. I looked. I think it's a short. I'm going to look now. I'm not going to show it, but I'll show it. I'll check later. But I'm pretty sure it's on there because I had a bunch of my customers in my shop, and I said, "You guys got to see this." Yeah. And then I looked for it, and it was under the CGC site, but it's under their shorts.
Okay.
Yeah. So they didn't delete it, but it
wasn't on Instagram.
It was not. No, it's gone from there, I think. Jose Gutierrez says, shout out to Mother Goose. Now, who's Mother Goose? That's your partner in crime, I believe, right?
Yeah, that's my wife. And God bless her for getting on here and doing this stupid shit. Like, she's a lawyer, and she has been open about that. And it's just, I feel bad for her because, you know, she wants to have fun. She wants to do something with me that we can bond and share. And, you know, she's gotten a lot of bullshit hate for no reason really. And she's a real one, man. Like if you can find a girl that can put up with your nerddom, you need to put a ring on it.
Oh yeah, I'll be honest. My wife has been very patient with this whole endeavor. Whenever I got a crazy idea, I want to go buy a $25,000 comic book. She's like, all right, thank you, dear. Whatever. Just absolute trust. And I do tell her that. And she's fantastic for that. And I brought her on my channel a couple times, and actually we got great response, but she doesn't want to do it all. She's so I'm glad yours is jumping on with you. Mine's there she is right there. Is that her? Allison P. Is that my wife there? Is that her? Doc did. Is that her?
I don't know.
Is that you, Allison? Is that you typing in there? Let's see.
The chances are high if that's how it's spelled. Because
I think so. But it's Yoda. Why would she have a Yoda picture? I think that must be her.
I don't know. It's kind of funny though.
Yeah, it is. Okay. Well, if that's you, honey. See, I'm talking. Yeah, it's her. Okay. So I'm talking you up, babe. I'm talking you up. So remember that in a couple hours. All right. So people here seem to like Mother Goose here. They said you should have invited her on here instead of Sticky. Not Sticky, but I think they were just joking, obviously. So yeah,
no, I mean, she's hot. I mean, she's gonna look a lot better than me on here. That's for damn sure.
Yeah. I'm a need too. Oh, yo. Oh, my daughter's here. The whole family's here now. Hey guys, how are you?
What's up, family?
Yeah, my daughter's very rare nerd. She called me a nerd. Okay, yeah, no, having the partner that's involved is great. I'm dragging her up to Fan Expo next week. I know she doesn't want to go, but she's going to come at least for one day to help out, which is much appreciated. Okay, I don't know where we're going with that. Okay, so YouTube, you're on there, and last week you dropped a video, and then it was taken off. And this video, it was kind of you roasting a lot of these YouTube comic book people.
Yeah,
you know,
and some of them were bigger than me. Some of them were smaller. You know, a lot of the things were like, hey, you're punching down at the smaller channels by making fun of them. They said we were racist. We said we were homophobic.
Okay.
They said we were bigots. I mean, you go down through the line. We never said we were professional comedians. I thought what we were saying was hilarious, but people are really soft nowadays. If people read the things that people say about me and my family on YouTube, they would crawl into a little ball. I mean, I'm not trying to play like the tough guy here, but it's just like, I mean, dude, thicken your freaking skin. And if you can't, get the fuck off of YouTube, because I mean, the internet is not a friendly place. Now there is a lot of positivity and, you know, people building each other up, but there are freaking trolls. And, you know, when we made that roast, you know, we were coming from a position of, let's do something fun. Let's do something wacky. Let's try to have fun. And then also kind of bring attention to channels that have smaller viewership, or pick at some of the bigger channels that have massive viewership. And there's nobody doing what I'm doing on YouTube in the comic book world, period. Because everybody has some sort of, I'm not agenda, but something they're trying to push. Whether some guys are trying to sell mystery boxes, some guys are trying to promote their memberships. I don't give a shit. I'm just making videos to be entertaining. This is what that's my wife. Oh, this is what the point of this is. If you're not entertaining someone, if you're not getting somebody to sit and watch your video, then what are you doing? So the video was there was a copyright strike. So an individual, and I want to stress individual, abused the YouTube copyright system to say that it was harassment, bullying, and that they used the copyright strike to get the video taken down, which he was basically a criminal. This guy, when we made fun of him, we basically insinuated he looked like a criminal, and his actions speak louder than words. What he did was pathetic. And it was, I'm not saying what he did was criminal. It was just, and it was abuse of a system that was not the intention of the copyright system. The copyright system is intended to protect intellectual property from being unjustly used. So if I use like Michael Jackson's "Beat It" or whatever in this video, like I didn't get permission from Michael Jackson to use this video. I mean, that's just an example, but basically I wasn't using their footage. I was using a picture of them and then riffing on them. And if I can't do that, then I don't even want to do this shit anymore.
But I got to tell you, that's interesting. It's interesting to talk about, because now when you watch shows like TMZ or Entertainment Tonight or any of these shows, they oftentimes have images of people and whatever. They
Absolutely.
People got to realize, once you put yourself out on YouTube, or same thing goes just like if you're just a regular person and you throw a picture of yourself in a bikini on Instagram, or there's a video of you drunk on Facebook and someone guess what? That's public domain now. That's you just, you could try to get it back, or you could try to, figure out a way to bring that off the World Wide Web. Good luck. It's kind of like it's fresh for the taking, as far as I'm concerned.
And there's fair use. Like basically, like if we were to show a clip of something and I'm commentating over that, that's what the news does. That's what TMZ does. Like that's fair use. But this individual abused the system because his butt was hurt, because we said something that hurt his little feelings and he got mad. And instead of taking this, like one of the individuals that's in the comments right now, MJ Comics, he took this, took the me roasting him, and he ran with it. He said, I'm going to use this, I have a larger following than him. I'm going to use him to get a bigger following. And that's what you should have done. What you should have done if you were mad was make a roast video of my bald ass. Don't go out there and say, "Oh, Google, he bullied me." Oh, shut up. Make a roast video. Roast me. Roast Mother Goose.
I was going to actually put a copyright strike against you because I was not roasted on it at all. I'm like, what? I'm going through it. I'm like, what the frick, man? Oh, yeah.
Well. And a lot of people were smart and said, if you were on that list, that's an honor. Because a lot of those channels, and you've had one of them on here, Swaggle
Yeah, good guy. Mickey's a good guy. Yeah.
He's one of the bigger channels on here. And the reason he was on there was because I knew who he was. I knew about him. And if you're not on that list, it's kind of like, well, it's like, well, what's going on? I mean, and some of the smaller channels that I did put on there, I had a bone to pick with them because some personal shit kind of happened. So.
Well, we won't get into any of that stuff. That's between you and them. You can, but you gotta be careful. I'll tell you, man, when I come on YouTube, I try to make myself look somewhat, I mean, not much I can do with this now, but I mean, I try to make myself look somewhat presentable because, all I want is a picture like this being on feed, catching, my, it's on there and they can take it, they can use it, whatever. But you know what? It's fair game. You're out on YouTube. Good luck. It's like the Wild West out here a little bit, but I mean, to use the copyright strike when there was no copyright infringement happening, that's kind of, it's lame. Honestly, all he had to do probably was contact you and say, listen, man, I didn't like this at all.
I would have taken it down immediately.
Yeah. That's all you got to do. But what are you going to do? What did Nuck and Fut say? He said, Doc should get canceled for his likeness of Wolfman Jack. Oh, there you go. Wolfman Jack is dead. I don't know if his estate is out there. If they are, they could try. That's
one of the best screen names in the game.
Nucking Futs. I know. He always screws me up. I always end up saying, the dyslexic way version of it. Troy Tootie says, and we could talk about this actually because it just happened kind of today. Hey, Kevin, any thoughts on Hero Restoration arrest? Do you have any thoughts? I can talk about it for a sec, but if you want to,
I'm not privy to all the details, but basically the gist of it was an individual was taking books and never returning them to the customers, high value books, and basically law enforcement got involved, and this individual's in custody, and They took the books back. I mean,
It's
wild.
crazy. It's crazy. Mike the Cellist was the grandfather of pressing, kind of. Like
Really?
when I started doing this in like I'm pretty sure I'm one of the first guys in Canada to offer pressing professionally. And I talked to Mike a couple of times in the early days, and just, in passing, and we weren't like friends or anything, but in passing. And he had built a really strong reputation for himself. He was on some of the bigger YouTube. We mentioned, some of these other guys. He was on their channel being interviewed. He was working on big dollar books. He had a couple of locations, he had a brick and mortar store. So for all intents and purposes, he was legit. And so when there were some rumblings about 8 months ago where books were missing, or people weren't getting their books back. People were speculating that maybe he was going through some personal problems, nervous break, whatever. He was having issues. And people were kind of saying, please give him a chance to get his shit together. And anyways, then he gets arrested today. And it's all come up. I'm shocked that somebody who works, so I would assume worked very hard to build a reputation for himself, gain the trust of the comic community as a whole, was willing to just kind of toss it away.
Well, honestly, when I saw the name, I got kind of confused. I don't know if you were familiar with this. Doug Segelis, he owned Asheville Comics, and he took all these pre-orders for CGC 9.8 pre-screens. I don't know if you're familiar with the channel Bronze Age Nerd. He broke all of this. And when I first saw it, I was like, wait, this guy again? But his name was very similar, but that was a different thing. But yeah, I mean, to build up a practice, build up all this reputation,
that's it.
Take the time. And then, I mean, he must have been down bad. Like, this dude must have got in with a bookie, or he must have had to pay child support or something.
I was talking to another presser today, actually, on Facebook, a buddy of mine up here in Toronto. And I said, to me, he had a gambling debt.
Yeah.
He had an addiction problem. There was something going on there. There's some more to this story than we know. He didn't think so. He thought the other guy thinks he just got to know he was just kind of spending money he didn't have yet. Got to keep in mind, a lot of pressers, and I don't do this, by the way. Other pressers can do what they want. I don't take payment till the job is done. But I know a lot of pressers, you go to their shop, or you send it, you do their online form, you give their Visa, MasterCard, Amex, they bill you.
Yeah.
No, I don't do that until the books are on their way to CGC. Then I usually bill them. Or when you pick the books up, if they're not going to CGC, I bill you at that point. And I feel like keeps me above board. But what this other presser was suggesting is he had all this money in his coffers, and he just started spending the money before the work was done, and just kind of got ahead of himself. And
yeah, that's risky business.
It's like spending tax money, right? You're charging tax and you spend the money, and then you have to pay the tax.
Wild.
Scary stuff. But yeah, I've worked very. Go ahead.
People are irresponsible with spending money they don't have, just in general. I mean, that seems to be a common theme. Like, if you're putting a high-end comic book on a freaking credit card, you're making bad decisions. It's just these items, this stuff we're doing is not worth putting you and your family in any type of hardship, no matter how bad you want something. It is just, I mean, it is not a good plan. And I mean, I swear some of these guys are broke, but rich in comic books. And man, I don't know. I don't want to be that guy.
No. I'm very happy and content that you got into it. You said heavy during COVID. How about this? Did you buy any big books at COVID? Overpay for anything?
Oh yeah. My Hulk 181 was the worst purchase I've made. It was the most expensive comic I bought. I bought it for $4,200 in a 4.0,
Ooh.
Which was the absolute peak. And, it was a huge mistake. And I learned so much about rarity, scarcity, truly rare books. And, I don't think there are any Marvel books that are actually rare, like Bronze Age, Silver Age stuff. I mean, I think people have coffers of this stuff. ASM 129, First Punisher, dude. I mean, I realize there is a premium on that book, but holy shit, that book is out there, man. I mean, it is out there.
Yeah, I'm glad that I'm upset about COVID and I'm happy about COVID and for two. I mean, like I have a lot of my own books have not worked on in years because I just have been too damn busy doing everybody else's books. So I couldn't take advantage of the high prices. I've got so much stuff I should have sold, but did not sell and lost a bundle. But in the same token, I wasn't out buying books either. So I kind of evaded that peak, you know?
I definitely overspent on some stuff, but you know, I I don't regret anything because it was a learning process, and I think in this game, in comic collecting, this is really a school of hard knocks kind of game. And the mistakes I made really kind of helped build my channel, and the success that I've had on my channel from being very transparent, being very authentic with the decisions, the mistakes I've made, and then telling this to people has been extremely beneficial. I have had multiple people reach out and say, thank you for saying these things, because so many people will not admit when they're wrong, and they will continue to just, gaslight, spin this yarn of, I'm continuing on. Everything's Gucci. We're still making money. I'm I'm one of those people that's like, if I messed up, maybe my mess up could help somebody else.
Yeah. Well, that's good. I mean, it hurts,
Yeah.
but people do appreciate that. You know what I mean? Um, I think you're safe though. I think in about 22 years, you'll get your money back on that.
I actually sold it.
Oh, you did? Did you lose?
Oh, I lost $2,200.
Oh, has
Yeah.
it gone up since then? Since you sold it? You check? You
Dude,
don't care.
I don't look at prices anymore.
Okay.
I'm past that. Man, I was in. I was on that market game, looking at prices, watching the fluctuations, and damn, I don't want that anymore.
It's like watching the stock market, right? It's like being addicted to the stock market and being like a day trader almost. And I don't like that either. you know, it's not a
It,
lot of fun.
there are so many people that are in that, and I that is not that, and that's what these big books are. They're stocks, they're investments. When you're spending thousands of dollars on a comic book, it stops being a comic book anymore. It's an investment, and for me, I mean, if I'm spending $4,200 on something, I mean that's a serious purchase. For me,
Mhm.
that's a lot of money for me.
Well, I have all the Marvel keys. I spent a lot of money on some of them. Some of them I got a really good deal on. Others I paid at the time the value, the market value. For me, it was again that collecting bug, the addiction to having to have a complete set. I want all the Marvel keys. I have to have them. I didn't care what the grade necessarily, but I wanted to have them.
Right.
Now that you have them, I'm like, okay, now do I do? Like you said earlier, what's next? Do I wait, you sell them and then get into something else or start looking for something different? I don't know.
Well,
When does it end?
there's a guy that he was selling on Instagram like a 9.8 giant size X-Men, Avengers 1 8.0. Like, he was selling those books, which would be the best book in my collection, and I'm assuming many of the people watching this. And that told me everything I needed to know of how empty it actually is, because it's like, if that is not fulfilling, and that he needs to sell those to go get another grail, like, oh, bro. I mean, and I'm not judging him. I'm not saying, hey, that guy's in the wrong, but it's just kind of a psyche thing of like, damn, like that rat race. I don't want to be part of that anymore.
It is exactly a rat race. I mean, and I joke with my clients that come into the shop. A lot. Some of you guys watching who are my clients know when a lot of them came in during COVID, they'd be like, they're about my age, and they'd be walking in with a long box to get graded or to be pre-screened, and I'm like, and they're like, I just found this. I'm like, in my basement. I haven't looked at them. I go, take the box and get out now. I'm warning you now to get out.
Yeah.
And they laugh because now they're still chasing, right? They're still going. It becomes And I hate to say it, you know, we love the comics, but then it's also it becomes it's like it's gambling. It's gambling. Let's be honest, is what it is, right? It's you buy something or you have something that you think is something, you know, something special. You get it pressed and cleaned, and you get it graded, and hopefully it comes back a 9 whatever or a 7 whatever or whatever grade you're hoping for. And if it does, you've hit that pinnacle and you're happy. And if it doesn't, then you start chasing some more. You start trying to swap and trade, or you know, find more raw books to kind of make up that gap because you didn't get that grade you wanted the first time around. I don't know. It's a vicious circle. It can be.
Yeah, and just kind of touching on things like mystery boxes and raffles, you start piling that on top of the gambling of what the comic book is anyway. It's like, holy shit. Like you're just basically you're just going to the casino at this point. These mystery boxes, I have been harping on this for years. Like it's just I just don't understand it. Like you open up something and then you get disappointed when you open
It's garbage
because you didn't get what you wanted, the grand prize. But I realize that for a lot of people, this is their only opportunity to get certain things. But that's what gambling exploits. It's a tax on the poor. It's that lottery. That's that chocolate factory ticket of like, man, I could get that giant size X-Men this way.
Yeah, sure.
But how many mystery boxes are you in when you could have just bought the damn thing?
You know, West Coast Avenger says, and I like this, explore the history, interact with them. You won't tire of comics. And I think that's what a lot of people are not doing, is interacting. We're interacting with a CGC slab.
Yep.
You know, they're not opening. I mean, and I used to kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Scoff. That's a good word. At our local comic store here. He's an old fella. He's the guy who sold me comics when I was in high school. He's still going. He still has a local comic store. You will not find a graded book in his shop. He does not agree with CGC. He does not agree with it. And he calls them coffins. And,
oh, yeah.
You know, he and you kind of remind me that what you're saying kind of goes with that. You know, it's
it's not an old, you know, I mean, I understand the old school perspective, and I definitely understand those purists, but it's just coming from a perspective of just like, I just don't get the fulfillment out of it. I remember watching this West Coast Avengers video video from this guy. He bought this collection in his like parents' house or something, and he's going through this, and he was looking for an NYX3, and like you could just tell the guy was like super tight butthole just trying to find this thing.
It's exciting though.
It was exciting, but I'm like, damn, like how much money does this guy have in this or something?
I don't know. I'll tell you, it's hard to find collections now. Everybody and their brother is into this stuff. Everybody, if you got comic books, you think you're a millionaire. Everyone thinks they've got gold. But even just like, you know, before I started, like I got into collecting again. I probably in the, you know, 2009, I started 2008, I started buying collections again. And I go out there and I see it was all the stuff from our sorry, not our childhood. I got about 10, 15 years on you probably, but I would, excuse me, all the books from like the 1980s, you know? And so I go there and he'd be asking like, say $500 for the whole lot. Yeah. And all I would do is search for the New Mutants 98. Because the New Mutants 98 was in there, it paid for the whole thing. And how many times I find that New Mutants? A lot, man, a lot. It was great. It was a lot of fun, man. And yeah, that butt clenching you just mentioned, oh, that was great. So go there. Yeah. And when you get that book, it's like a little gold. It's like a little, you know, little win, you know. Anyways.
And I really have kind of slowed down on buying collections and stuff because I'm just like, okay, so say I do find the New Mutants 98 in there. Okay.
Yeah.
What the hell am I going to do with all this other stuff? How many people are collecting New Mutants run? I mean, it's a great run, but it's just, okay. And then I have to sell this. And then it's just, oh man, that's a whole nother aspect of, yeah, he did it. Yeah. That's a whole nother game. Like that honestly should not be grouped with like, like a comic collecting is such a huge thing. Like the hunting for gold, the whatever is so different than like sitting here on my recliner reading my Moon Knight story, like it's not the same thing.
It's not, but I'll tell you, when I was again in high school and I was going to the comic store and buying every single Marvel book, every single DC book, that every single Image book at the time that was coming out fresh, I dropped like $60 a week or $55 a week of my entire paycheck on comics. In the back of my mind, I'm thinking one day this stuff could be worth something. I don't even know where that even freaking came from. Even when
Todd
I was
McFarlane.
but it wasn't worth millions back then. But in my mind, I'm thinking, these could eventually be worth something. My old Star Wars toys, the same thing. I always thought, even as a 7-year-old kid buying my Han Solo action figure, in my head, I'm saying, Dad, you should buy one of these. One day it'll be worth something. How did I even think that way? I don't even know why I was wired that way. So I enjoyed the stories. I read every single one of those books. And like you said, I had a lot of enjoyment and pleasure reading all the comics I got. But as I got older, it was more of I don't know. Was it investment? Was it trying to fill the runs, or like I said, giving myself something like a challenge? I'm going to collect every Marvel key. I'm going to collect, every Spider-Man book from number 50 to 100, whatever. You give yourself these little collecting challenges.
Right.
So I don't know, but the monetary part of it, for some reason, has always been in the back of my mind. I remember doing an assignment in grade 13 about comic books, and I brought in I had a Spider-Man 1 at that time. I paid $200 for it. It was a big deal back then. And that was a question the teacher asked, what are they worth? And so that was, even a person who is not involved in comics had to ask that question. What are the value of these comics? So I don't know. It's almost like it's been somehow meshed with the hobby forever, for a very long time.
Well, it's one of those things where it's you're putting money into something, and what are you getting out of it? Because the value of something can't just be the enjoyment. The society won't. It's not accepted. I mean, if mom and dad's putting down whatever money on Thai Beanie Babies, which is my situation, it's like, okay, well, they're collector's items, right? And I'm like, yeah, Mom, they're collector's items.
That's it.
It just,
maybe it's this stuff, because I went over one of these the other day. This here is a price guide that I got in Montreal recently. One of my clients, Henry, gave this to me, and it's an old price guide from 1974 to 1975. And right off the bat, you look and it says, an Avengers #1. And I believe an Avengers #1 had a 12-cent price, was a price, right? 12 cents. Here, an Avengers #1, I would assume in mint condition in 1975, was $30.
Yeah.
Right. So even back in the infancy of this hobby, this stuff was going like this. So somebody knew, somebody had the inkling or the foresight to say, yeah, these things are going to be worth money one day. So,
right.
Yeah,
I have really kind of pivoted away from that aspect, and my channel kind of shows that. I unfortunately, drama sells, and the collecting game has really, those videos and is really kind of petered out. Now there are some channels that are still doing very, very well on that type of content, specifically channels like the Comics Den and Lunch Money Comics. I don't know if you're familiar with these channels.
Okay.
But their whole thing is vlog style, going out the hunt, and then bringing back and saying, hey, I got this. This is how much I spent. How did I do?
Right.
And there's definitely, I think those videos do very, very well because there's still such a market for that. But there are so many people, specifically on YouTube, which I don't think is indicative of the comic book community as a whole, that just, they want to watch fails or comic book personalities or something. Like, all these creators are not comic book creators. Like, they are
they're fans.
They're fans that have built personalities in this space. And it's a really weird thing. Like, it's and there's money in it too, which is wild.
If you get to a certain level, there definitely is. People will tap you on the shoulder. Again, I've been watching Gem Mint more now than over the last 5 years. And he kind of talked about, what's that auction site called that everybody uses? Whatnot. He talked about how Whatnot kind of sponsored him, and the money started flowing in, right? And it was very, very lucrative. But
that Whatnot is the perfect blend of the influencer, the entertainment, mixed with the getting something for nothing, or the finding a hidden gem. Like, oh my God, it is literally crack cocaine for a millennial collector. Like, because it just speaks to them, and it speaks to people like me, because it's like, I want that interaction. Like, I want that Sticky Goose experience of, this guy, I like this guy, and I'm going to buy something from this guy. But also I'm like, hey, well, if I bid on this, I can get this for $4. Oh, it's worth 10. I did good. And it's just a dangerous game. I have been anti Whatnot for years, because it is just such a dangerous game of people buying things. They don't actually know what they're getting. They're getting wrapped up in the bidding war. They're getting too attached to the personality that's selling them the things. They just want to buy. There's a lot of people that want to buy something from Jim Mint. I bought this from Jim Mint.
I get you.
And that's
a good example of that is Torpedo Comics, right? Where did I go when I was in Las Vegas there, Dan? Where did I go? I went to Torpedo Comics.
And what'd you get?
I actually did pretty good. I bought a Marvel's first Shang-Chi, Marvel Spot. What is it?
15.
Yeah, but what is it? Marvel Spotlight on? No. Marvel Special Edition. That's it.
Marvel Special Edition 15.
I talked him down. He was asking $100. I talked him down. He goes, it's only an 8. I said, okay, no problem. I got the eye though. I got it for $80 or $60. I pressed it, came back at 9.4. So
and that book is, that's the story. That was the story of that book. You went to Torpedo Comics. You had that memory.
That's right.
And it's special. But is buying things on Whatnot special? Like, you didn't go anywhere. You sat there on your phone and you bought something from some guy. I don't know. Maybe I'm being cynical, but I just don't. It's bad. It's gambling. It's bidding wars. It's not good.
Well, it's just like that. What the hell's her name? The girl the TikTok girl, the spitter, the one who spit. I can't even say her name. The Huak2 girl. Was that the one?
Huak2 and spit on that thing.
That's the one, right? Like, she's hugely popular. She was on freaking Bill Maher's show last week, for crying out loud, right? Like, what the hell? That was a really strange interview, by the way. I don't know if you watched
I need to watch that.
That was really weird. But instant celebrity to this girl who does this silly little reel or short and goes viral, and she's a celebrity now. Like, she's a celebrity. Like, where she goes, she's got bodyguards, and it's craziness. So YouTube, I don't know. YouTube has that potential to make these regular Joes, like, Stephen Small, that's his name, I think, right? Jem Mint's real name, and Comic Tom. These are just regular dudes. It really catapulted them to the celebrity status, and YouTube has the power to do that. A lot of guys do. I have some friends that are on here. I talked to a good buddy of mine's in California. There, he's a producer, and we talked, and he's not a celebrity, and I'm not a celebrity, but it's funny because it's when people see you, they think you are a celebrity. I don't know. It's hard. I'm sure you're getting that too, because you've got a good following.
Yeah. Going to Heroes Con, I'll just tell a little quick story. It was hilarious. This is how big of a celebrity I am. This guy comes up to me and says, hey, you're Sticky Goose. And I said, yeah, man. Hey, do you want to get a picture? He said, oh, no. I said, no. I was like, do you want to get a picture so I can put it on the channel? And he was like, oh, no. I just wanted to say, I was like, dude, I felt about this small.
Yeah.
This guy was like,
no.
He was like, oh no, I don't want anything to do with you, bro. I just know who you are. And I was like, okay. No, the YouTube celebrity, it is wild. Like, you can have like 1 million, 2 million subscribers, whatever it is, and like be making your living on this, and like still have like actual anonymity. Like, like Tom Cruise walks down the street, like it's like, holy shit, that's Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
But like, when Pootie Pie walks down the street, like, I mean,
If you're a fan, you're going to be very excited to see her.
yeah, but in reality, nobody's going to know who he is.
No. I mean, I saw, what's his name, when I was in San Diego. I think I was most excited. I'm surprised because I'm not really a fan. I don't think I'm a fanboy or fanning. I saw, what's his face, that Nerdrotic guy. I love his videos. His editorials are great. And I saw him there. I want a picture, buddy. I like your editorials. I don't like his he's got this gang that comes around and they just they just attack everything. And
there's a huge market for that.
Oh, for sure. Negativity, right? I get that. And I don't like that. But his editorials are I think they're very, very good. And I agree with a lot of what he says. And so it was cool to meet him. I was excited to see him there.
That guy has real power.
Now he does. Frick, he's on Pierce Morgan, for crying out loud. I could not believe it.
Yeah, him and the Critical Drinker.
Right? It's like they've really made a name for themselves, and good but they're not stupid people. They're quite intelligent. I think they're both misunderstood quite a bit, especially Nerdrotic. I mean, he just hates everything. No, he just wants quality storytelling, and we're not getting it, people. Sorry to tell you, we're not. But I want to go down. That's another day. But anyhow, listen, I've had you here for an hour. It's a Friday, and I'm gonna let you get back to the missus and the family. I want to say thanks for coming out.
This was awesome, dude. Great stream.
Yeah. No, thank you so much. And I think people here seem to enjoy it. I don't know if does anybody have any questions? Because I'm gonna sign off. Anybody has any questions for Sticky Goose? Now is the time, because I am going to end this. Knocking Futz. What do you going right off topic? What do you think? I'll post it. What do you think of the Mike Tyson Jake Paul fight coming up?
Man, that's speaking of a YouTuber, like this guy, Jake Paul. I mean, him and his brother went to a forest in Japan. There was I'm not going to say the word because you can't say it on YouTube, but this place where people go, and they were making fun of the people that had passed away there. They built their name on this drama, and he has risen. Like the one dude is like a wrestling superstar, and this guy's fighting freaking Mike Tyson. Like, that is insane.
I hope Mike Tyson beats the crap out of him. I hope so, but yeah, it'd be great.
Happening.
No, and then MJ says, when is Sticky Goose going to do his own lives? You don't do live streams?
No. To be honest with you, right before I get nervous doing these, because
you get used to it.
And I don't know. I like making. I really want to concentrate my thoughts when I make my videos. I mean what I say when I'm making them. Most of what I'm doing is very intentional, and people are listening to me to an extent that I didn't realize. Like they're listening to every word I'm saying, and I'm like, holy shit! If I start doing these lives and I start spitballing, I mean, I don't know. I don't even know what I've said in this live stream, and I mean, it's just they're fun. It's fun to engage with people, but man, I don't know.
It's like I told you, I'm a teacher, right? So when I'm teaching, you have kind of a filter, right? You just stop. You just can't. And
right.
Again, I don't know what profession you have beyond this, but I'm sure when you're out in the real world and you're doing your thing, you've got that, that filter too. I think that would probably.
Yeah, we all wear different hats. Like,
yeah,
when I'm down in this basement, I got my Sticky Goose hat on, and
gotcha.
It's just, I hear what you're saying. Yeah, we have filters, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't know, dude. Some of these people on the internet are crazy, bro. You
gotta be careful.
These people are nuts.
We're both kind of nuts too, I think, for being on here, but whatever.
Oh, I'm knucking futz.
I'm knucking futz. There you go. On that. Listen, hey, you don't seem like such a bad guy to me. I don't understand this whole notorious thing. I think maybe you've got a bad rap. I've watched your video. I watched the infamous video, and you go at people. But again, use it and build. But what can I say? To each his own. But again, thank you so much for coming by today, Dan. It was nice to talk to you in this way. And if you ever want to come back again, let me know. If you ever need a guest on your show, I'm happy to jump in and say hi over there too. Whatever you need.
Thank you, buddy.
Okay. All right, guys. Let me get over to here. Hey, okay. Well, there you go, guys. Sticky Goose. He's not such a bad guy after all. Everyone's saying he's so notorious and the bad boy of comic book collecting and YouTube. Nah, I don't know. Guys, listen, again, I'll be at the shop tomorrow from 11 until 2 taking submissions. I'll also be there returning a lot of comic books to a lot of people who've been very, very patient. I want to thank everybody who has been patient with me as I was on vacation and I had that surgery in my eye a few months back. That really did kind of slow things down. Also, remember, if you want to meet me over at the Toronto Fan Expo, I will be there on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday on booth 1200. If you want to have one of your books signed by, Rosario Dawson or Dolph Lundgren or any of those big celebrities, I have to get those books in my hands by Monday, people. I want to have that all organized before I get there. A lot of these celebrities are only going to sign on Saturday, and I have to have all my my ducks lined up. Also, if it's an artist whose signature you want, that's not a problem. I can take those at Fan Expo. All right, guys, that's it for me. Thanks so much. Have a fantastic night, and we'll see you again. You know what? I'm going to probably do an unboxing I'm going to try for Sunday. I got, again, a lot of boxes. And again, on Tuesday, if you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button now and hit the notification bell so you'll know when I am going live impromptu, which is quite often. All right, guys, take care. Have a great night. Have a great weekend. Bye for now.